All right, so I'm going to go through the most recent math test, hopefully question by question with you, so that it makes more sense, that you can understand. We're going to try something new on the computer. I've never done this before, so please forgive my technological inabilities with this new fanciness, but hopefully it will help you better understand so we can talk it through. So the first question says, which is the best estimate for 8,032 minus 2,936. So if you got this question wrong, my guess is that you missed this word estimate. So estimate is a cue word, and when you see that word estimate, it should cue in your mind this word round. Other words that cue us to round are approximately, about, almost, anything that's you need a quick answer. Rounding is not something developed by math teachers to make your life miserable. It is actually there to make us do things faster, to double check our answers. So if you got this question wrong, it's probably because you were confused that there was no exact answer for you. So estimate means round. So what I need to do is I'm going to underline the place that I'm rounding to. I'm going to round to my thousands place because that's the biggest place that is available to me. So in this case, it's the 8,000. My 8 looks at my 0, 5 and above, raise it up, 4 and below stays the same down low. So 8 stays the same because 0 is not bigger than 5. All the rest of my digits flip to 0. So I have 8,000 minus, Q looks at the 9. 9 is actually greater than 5, so 5 and above, raise it up. My 2 raises up to a 3. The rest of my numbers flip to 0. So now I have 8,000 minus 3,000. That's a much easier question for me to work with. 8 minus 3 is 5, so 8,000 minus 3,000 is 5,000. So the answer for this one should be B. Moving on to number 2. The table below shows the number of phone calls a radio station received each week for the last month. So, and then it's asking you, after you see this table, which is the best estimate for the total number of calls received in 4 weeks. So there's 2 keywords in here. The first one is estimate, which, as you should know by the last question, means round. The other keyword is total. So if you remember from my T Swift song, sum plus and all, total altogether, combine, join, and add together all mean addition. So when I see that word total, I know that I'm going to add. So if you're confused also by the charts that they have here, do not worry. I've seen many a 7th grader freak out over charts. They are not so bad. So when I see these columns, it's going to give me a category for everything that's in that column. So when it says week and number of calls received, I know that this is just going to tell me what weeks are we talking about. This is going to tell me how many calls we're talking about. All the information in this row is going to be true. Oh man, Miss B spelled received wrong. Bad. I before E. Not so good. So week 1, we received 3,276 phone calls. Week 2, we received 5,842 phone calls. Week 3, we received 4,109 phone calls. Week 4, we received 6,920. And I don't need this silly extra little row down here. Yes, I want to delete the entire row. Okay, so again, if you missed this one, it's probably because you missed that word estimate. So that word estimate means round. So I'm going to do it in italics. If I round 3,276 to the nearest thousand, right, I'm looking at this 3. My 3 looks at my 2. 2 is less than 5, so my 3 stays the same. All other numbers flip to 0. For this next one, again, I'm looking at the 5 because it's in the thousands place. It's my largest digit I have here. Not digit, it's my largest place I have here. So my 5 looks at my 8. 8 is bigger than 5, so my 5 switches to a 6. All other numbers flip to a 0. Next one, 4,109. My 4 looks at my 1. It's less than 5, so my 4 stays at 4. All other numbers flip to 0. Last one, 6,920. My 6 looks at the 9. 9 is greater than 5, so 6 flips to 7. All other numbers flip to 0. So now I'm going to add these together. 6 plus 9, 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. 7 plus 13 is 20,000. I apologize. So your answer should be B, 20,000. Again, I cannot stress this enough. I saw so many kids write out the whole thing and try to add it up, and then they picked one that was closest at the end of the day. Estimate means round. I cannot stress how important that is. Next one. Race. I am going to do number 3. Number 3 is a matter of lining it up. So for this one, I have 75,243 plus 3,089. So remember that my ones should always line up with each other, and that was a big problem I saw here. I'm going to make this even bigger. So instead of looking at the question this way, I need to line it up over the bottom. So my ones need to line up. So underneath my 5, I'm going to have the 3, so the thousands line up. 0, 8, 8, 9. So make sure you copy the question correctly, first of all, Miss B. And then make sure that you set it up. So my ones I'm going to add together, my tens I'm going to add together, my hundreds, my thousands, and so on. So if I look at this, 9 plus 3 is 12. Carry the 1. To make this 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 8 is 13. Leave the 3. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this on the computer. Carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus nothing is 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. And 7 plus nothing is 7. So my answer should be 78,332. I apologize. It's really hard to carry things over on the computer. So my answer should be C, 78,332. Next one. Question 4 is a similar thing. Make sure you line it up. I cannot stress how important that is. The most common mistake I see 3rd graders and 6th graders and everybody make with this kind of problem is lining it up. So 18,416 minus 5,037. I'm going to make sure that my ones place is totally matching. So my 5 goes under my 8. 0, 3, 7. 5,037. So I'm going to start with my ones place. And this time I am subtracting. Do not forget that. So I'm lining everything up. And I am subtracting. 6 minus 7 is something I can't do. So I actually would have to cross off my 1 and make it a 0 so I can borrow to my 6. My 6 becomes a 16. So 16 minus 7 is 9. I'm going to put that back to normal so that we know. But we've kind of gotten in our head, right? This is, oh, I wonder if I can, nope, that didn't work. Okay, now I have a 0 here. 0 minus 3 I cannot do. I have to make it a 10 and change this 4 to a 3. So 10 minus 3 is 7. And now I can move over here. 3 minus 0 is just 3. And then 8 minus 5 is 3. 1 minus nothing is 1. So my answer is 13,379. So it's very difficult for me on the computer, I'm realizing, to line it up. But the key thing here is to make sure that your ones are all lined up, your tens, your hundreds, and all, etc., etc. If it helps you think of lining up the commas like you would the decimal place. Next one, number 5. We have 495,208 plus 26,984. Again, the most important thing is to line it up. In this case, I'm going to check to make sure my commas are lined up, if that helps you. Under here, 8 plus 4 is equal to, is way harder to add on the computer than you would think. 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1. This becomes 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 2 is 11, carry the 1. So this becomes 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 2 is 12. for the 1. 4 plus 1 is 5. So my total answer should be 522,192. Again, cannot stress this enough. Line it up, line it up, line it up, line it up. That's why we have the whole chant on lining it up. It is not because I think you're going to forget the words that chant. It is because I want you to actually line the numbers up. Again, if you have already gotten some of these questions right and you want to skip along, that is completely fine. I'm just going through each one. I'm on number 6 now, which is 164,918 minus 92,577. Again, what do we have to do? We have to line it up. So, think of lining up the commas. This is weird line thing across the page. All right, 8 minus 7 is 1. 1 minus 7 I cannot do. My 1 has to turn to an 11. So I'm thinking of 11 minus 7 is 4. Then I have to do, I had to borrow from my 9, so this becomes an 8. 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. 6 minus 9 I can't do, so this becomes a 16. Borrowed from my 1, which ends up just being what it was before. So 16 minus 9 is 7. So my answer to this one, if I line everything up and I subtract it down and borrow correctly, should be 72,341, or answer choice B. Next one, moving right along. Question 7. 14,504 minus 6,938. Again, cannot say it enough. Line it up. Again, look at those commas. They are lined up. My periods are all lined up. 4 minus 8, something I can't do. So I have to borrow from my 0. My 0 becomes a 10. I can't borrow from my 0, so my 0 becomes a 10. I wish I could write on this. I wish I could write on this. I can't, though. So my 0 becomes a 10, which then becomes a 9, so that I can give it to my 4, if that makes any sense. And then, because my 0 can't get anything across, my 5 has to become a 4. This is a really tricky concept, and I know it's hard to show on the computer. So if you're struggling with it, please, 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 please ask questions in class. So instead of saying a 4, my 4 becomes a 14, because we borrowed it from the 0, but my 0 didn't have anything, so I borrowed it from the 5. So it's basically like we're just changing and carrying it across. 14 minus 8 is 6. If I can put it down here. 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. 4 minus 9 is something I can't do, so I have to borrow from here, so this becomes a 3. This becomes a 14. 14 minus 9 is 5. I'm just erasing this top number as I go because it's just confusing and in my way. Now 13 minus 6 I can actually do. I could just borrow it over, but it would be the same thing. 13 minus 6 becomes 7. So my answer should be 7,566, your answer choice A. Question 8, we get into decimals. So I have 56 and 4/10 minus 32 and 7/10. Again, just like all questions, if you do not know how to line it up by the end of this video or by the end of having me as a teacher, we've got some serious issues here. I'm going to make that bigger because this is just bothering me. So, I'm doing subtraction. And the thing about decimals is just to completely ignore the decimal at first when I'm adding and subtracting. It is not important right now. It's once I've got everything lined up, that's where I need to be. 4 minus 7 is something I can't do. So I have to borrow from my ones place, which is a weird concept for us to think about. So my 6 actually becomes a 5, and I think of this as a 14, just like I would any other number. So 14 minus 7, I can do that. It's very easy. It is 7. 5 minus 2, I can do. 5 minus 2 is 3. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. My answer, however, is not 237. I have to bring it down, so my decimal comes right down and separates my ones from my tenths. So my answer should be 23.7 or 23 and 7/10. Again, my recommendation, ignore that decimal until the end and just bring it straight down into your answer. Next question. Which means 6 and 74 thousandths? So if I just think about this, 6 and, this and right here tells me it's going to be the decimal. So I just write 6 dot immediately. So all of the other answer choices do not have 6 dot. So I can immediately cross everything else off except for answer choice C. So the question is already done, but 74 thousandths, if I just go 74 right here, this would be 74 hundredths, because remember it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So this is only extending to my hundredths place. I need it to go all the way to my thousandths, so I added 0. So now I have 6, and that decimal point is represented by and, 74 thousandths. Remember to read a number, I just ignore everything past the decimal, I read my number, and then I say the place that the furthest number hits. So it's 74 thousandths, because my furthest number is in the thousandths place. Erase, 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 erase. I cannot draw the picture for the next one, so you're just going to have to read along with me. What number is represented by the shaded part of the figure below? When I see that whole box, I know that whole figure shaded is 1. So all of the choices that have something other than 1 point something are wrong. So I know that A and D are wrong. Then the other one, it's 200 blocks together. There's only 9 out of 100 shaded in. So I know it has to be 900. 900 squares are colored in, so it has to be 900. There's no 19 anywhere. So all the other answer choices have 19 something. So I know that that has to be wrong. So my correct answer choice for number 10 is B. We're halfway there, guys. Halfway there. A piece of wood is 2.27 centimeters thick. What is that measurement rounded to the nearest tenth of a centimeter? So first of all, silly information, centimeters. I don't need to know that it's a piece of wood that I'm measuring, okay? This is what we call the silly information in the MSV method. So I just have 2.27 centimeters, and I need to round it to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. So I'm going to underline my tenths place because it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths. I'm going to look at my 7. My 7 is 5 and above, so it's going to raise it up. So I have 2 point. My 2 here becomes a 3, and my 7 flips to 0. So I have, and remember when I have 30 hundredths or 3 tenths are the same thing. So this extra 0 here is not important, so I can just get rid of it. So my answer is 2.3, or answer choice C. Question 12. Dominic drew a line that was 2.35 meters long. Good for Dominic. What is this number rounded to the nearest whole number? This, my friends, is another perfect example of this silly information that people in mathematics add to the question. You can just cross it off. I did not see a lot of people crossing off extra information on this test actually when I was grading it, and that is definitely something I recommend. Make sure that if you did it poorly on this test, the next time when you take the retake, you feel free to cross things off as you go. So he drew a line that was 2.35 meters long. What is this number rounded to the nearest whole number? My whole number means my ones place. So I underline my ones place. My 2 here looks at my 3. 3 is not greater than 5. So my 2 is going to stay the same down low, as we say. So it's going to be 2, and all the other numbers flip to 0. Oh, I know that these zeros after the decimal point are irrelevant. So I'm just going to get rid of them, and my answer is actually 2. Which of the following statements is true? So I have 2.301 or 2.301 or 2 and, decimal place means and, 2 and 301 thousandths. I have this symbol and a blank. So this symbol, the big part is coming first. The alligator wants to eat the bigger number. So this is actually greater than. So I need a number that's going to be less than or smaller than 2 and 301 thousandths. So the first thing I can do is cross off anything that is actually greater than my whole number 2. So obviously 23 and something is going to be bigger than 2.3 2.301. So I can cross off answer choice A right away. It is definitely not going to be the next right answer. I always go this way down so that, because my 10th place is the next biggest number I'm looking for. So I'm looking for a number that is 2 point something. And so if it has less than 2.3, I know it's going to be the correct answer. So I see that answer choice D is 2.13. And I know that 2 and 13 hundredths is smaller than 2 and 301 thousandths. Even though it has less digits that make up the number, I know that my 2 is my biggest place, right? So then my tenths is my next biggest place. And so my 1 in my 10th place is less than my 3 in the 10th place. It's the same thing as like this number 9. This number is actually smaller than this number. Even though this one has a bunch of 9s in it, this one is bigger because my 100,000th place means more than my 10,000th place. So it doesn't matter that, for example, answer choice B has a whole bunch of extra digits. I'm looking for a number that's smaller. Remember, the crocodile wants to eat the bigger number. In this case, it's 2.301. All right, enough on that one. Number 14, which set of decimal numbers is ordered from greatest to least? Oh, my dear. So many people picked the one that was ordered least to greatest. Make sure that you underline important information in this question. Greatest to least, not least to greatest. So I kind of look at them all the answer choices at once. So I see that my options for the first one, 21.3, 21.301, 21.39, 21.299. So greatest to least, 21.3. Is that greater than 21.301? No. Even though it's very minuscule, this 1 is 1,000th bigger than my first choice. So I automatically know that A is wrong. Cross it off. Answer choice B, 21.39, 21.301, 21.3, 21.299. So 21.39, is it bigger than 21.301? Yes, because my 9 is in my 100th place, and this one has a 0. So the same number up to this 100th place. My 0 is less than my 9, irrelevant. Then I look here, 21 is still the same, 0.3. So it's, yep, this is smaller because my 1 is, it adds an extra thousandth on. And my 21.2, yep, 2 is less than 3, which all the other numbers have. So the answer choice B is correct because all the numbers are in the right order. I could keep going, but we've kind of gone through why each one. And if you look at answer choice C and D, which I highly recommend, I see that 21.3 is smaller than 21.39, so that can't be effective. And I know that 21.299 is the smallest number, which is not seen in D. So answer choice B for question 14 is correct. Question 15, which is true? Remember, this means less than, this means greater than. The crocodile wants to eat the bigger number. So this is like a mouth, and it's pointing to the number that's bigger. It wants to eat it, which is true. 1.3749 is less than 1.0399. Okay, so I know that this number is not less than this one. This crocodile does not want to eat this number because my 1s are the same. That's my biggest place. My 3, however, is the next biggest digit, and it is bigger than the 0 that I see here. So, wrong. Answer choice B, 1.526 is less than 1.2605. So the crocodile wants to eat the bigger number. My 1s are the same. Then let's look at my tenths. Again, my 2 is less than my 5. So the crocodile is not eating the bigger number here. So this one is wrong. I think people get intimidated by the fact that there's so many digits in each of these numbers. Remember, go at it digit by digit. Look at the 1's place and the 10th place and the 100th place and so on. 1.7908 is less than 1.8979. Yes. So I know that this one is correct because my 1's are the same. Then I move on to my tenths. 8 is actually bigger than 7, so I know this one is correct. So answer choice C is correct. I'm looking at answer choice D. 1.463 is less than 1.3902. My 1's are the same, Then I go to my tenths. 4 is bigger than 3, and the crocodile is pointing to the bigger number, so I know this one is wrong. C is my correct answer choice. Number 16, which set of decimals is in order from least to greatest? 0.3, 0.6, 0.9, 0.8. Is this one ordered from least to greatest? No. 8 is smaller than 9, so obviously that one's not correct. 0.3, 0.5, 0.6, 0.9. B is correct. 3, 5, 6, 9. That makes sense. And it doesn't matter as long as they're all in the same place, as long as the digits are in the correct order. I know that I'm right. 0.2, 0.3, 0.7, 0.6. This one's wrong because the 6 tenths is obviously smaller than the 7 tenths. And answer choice C, 0.4, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7. Not in the correct order because the 4 is first and the 3 is clearly less than the 4. So that one's pretty easy. I don't think a lot of people got that one wrong, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If you had trouble with this one and you want to ask me more questions in class, feel free to. Number 17, again, I can't draw the picture. If the large square is 1, what that 1 means, and we went over this extensively in our notes, what is the shaded part of a larger square? So there are 3 long pieces of it shaded in, so I know that's 3/10. And then there are, if I look really closely, there are 5/100ths also shaded in. So if you look at it as this block I'm looking at is a zoomed in ones place block. And I've divided it into 100 pieces. 35 out of 100, or 35/100ths of this 100 block is shaded in. So my answer choice has to be A. Number 18, I'm not even going to do right now because actually only one person in the whole class got that question right. I think our trouble is with batting averages, which is an entire matter. We need to work on how to cross off unneeded information because this one is just so full of unneeded information. Number 19, we can do 381 plus 245 plus 579. Again, if you do not know this by now, F minus, you need to line it up. My ones place needs to go together, my hundreds place needs to go together, my tens place needs to go together. It doesn't matter if I'm adding 3 numbers or 1. I'm going to add 9 plus 1 first because that makes 10, plus 5 is 15. Leave the 5, carry the 1, 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 plus 4 is 13, 13 plus 7 is 20. Leave the 0. Carry the 2. 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 2 is 7, or 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So my answer is, if I line it all up correctly, which I'm struggling with a little bit on the computer, 1,205. So my correct answer choice is C. Do not be intimidated by the fact that there's more than one set of numbers that I'm adding. If it helps you, you can actually add 2 of the numbers together and then add the third number to it. So I could have done 591 plus 245. And then added 579 to the answer. I just like doing this because it's faster, I can line everything up really easily, and I know that I'm not making a simple mistake. Last one, 9 and 62 hundredths minus 7.154, or 7 and 154 thousandths. Again, you can hear me say it over and over and over again until it's stuck in our heads for life. I need to line it up. Here, I need to add in an extra 0. Shame on you if you did not add in the extra 0 or figure out how to do it. You need to line up the decimals, line up the decimals, line up the decimals. Most important thing, I say it over and over and over again. 0 minus 4 I can't do, so I have to borrow from the 2. It becomes a 1. 10 minus 4, however, is 6. So I leave the 6. 1 minus 5 I can't do. My 6 becomes a 5. So 11 minus 5 is 6. 5 minus 1 I can do, it's 4. 9 minus 7 is 1. No, 2. Oh my goodness, Miss B. And then my answer is not 2,466. My decimal, I just got to bring it down, bring it down. So my answer is 2 and 466 thousandths, or answer choice B. So I hope this helps. I went through each question with you. If you have questions, and obviously with number 18, feel free to bring them into class. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.